Hey students, it's Professor Lorenzo and welcome to today's online class. And today we're going to be talking about analytical essays. This lesson is in combination with your book reading assignment. Hopefully everybody's pretty much done reading their books and ready to write their essays. And what I'm going to do today is we'll go over a little bit about what should be included in your essay. And then I'll give you a couple of outline samples to help you along. So this first part of the lesson, we've done this already. This is something you've seen, so we'll go through it rather quickly. But as I mentioned in class, an analytical essay is not a book report. I'm not asking you to write a book report about this happened and that happened and this happened. Of course, unless you're doing it as an essay about the story structure, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's not a book report. You will have to have read the book and know the book in order to do this essay properly. So, an analytical essay is usually a writing that has a more narrowed focus than a summary. Book reports are summaries. This is not a summary. Analytical essays usually concentrate on how the book or poem was written. For example, how certain themes present themselves in a story or how the use of metaphor brings a certain meaning to a poem. Again, we've gone over this already. Uh, Writing an analytical essay can be defined as a writer's reaction or response to a body of work. So basically, what you're doing is you're acting as a critic, sort of a book critic. But instead of saying, hey, the book sucks or the book's great or whatever, you're going to just take a few aspects of it and illuminate on them and tell me what you think, your opinion of it is, and why your opinion works. What we'll be examining are either three parts of or three elements of fiction, or you could take one element of fiction and write three things about it. However you want to do it is up to you. But elements of fiction we've talked about quite a bit. It was in your midterm, so everyone should know what each one of these means. We'll also talk about story structure. Story structure is also something we've talked about. That was in your midterm, so everyone should know what the definitions of each part of these story structures, the story structure is, and also, what place they go in the story. In other words, which one's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. You will also be able to write about figurative language. When we talk about figurative language, all we're really talking about are either metaphors, similes, or personification. You don't have to worry about all the other stuff, onomatopoeia and idioms and hyperbole. We're just concerned with metaphors, similes, or personification. Again, something we've talked about and something that was in your midterm. And here's a short video about how to write a literary analysis paper.
Hi, this is Laura Turner, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to write a literary analysis paper. I've written lots and lots of these papers in my life, and I feel as though I can tell you many, many good things about it, so listen carefully. There are several ways to go about doing this, but you always want to start first with choosing a topic that actually interests you, something in the novel or the story that you find to be strange, that you find to be romantic, that you find to sort of touch you in some way. Otherwise, you are going to write a paper that is pretty bland and boring. So start off with a topic that interests you, and then start to write down all of your questions about this topic, why it interests you, what you want to get out of reading about other works that talk about this topic. And then what I would do is actually take the book and go through. This is The Sound of the Fury. For example, if I wanted to write a paper on why does Faulkner use so many different ways of narrating this novel, that's a really broad topic. I probably want to pare it down to why does Faulkner use italicized passages in this novel. That's something a little more specific. So not only choose something that interests you, but also something that is very specific, something that you can narrow down and latch onto. And so then go through the novel or the poem and actually write down, or type down all of the passages that you're going to need to construct your literary analysis paper. Number 2, go to the library or go online and find works by other people who've written about similar subjects. as the one that you're writing about. And take down good examples from their writings and use them in your own, because it never hurts to figure out what other people think as well, to help you also legitimize your opinion and to back it up and to contrast it. So have a more varied paper rather than just your ideas. You'll have other people's ideas as well. Please do not summarize and explain your position in each paragraph. Take your opportunity at the beginning to write out your argument and then give your explanations, your examples in your body of your paragraphs, but don't sort of reiterate or summarize either the plot of the story or your argument in each paragraph. Okay, that would just seem like filler. And then finally, try to come to a compelling conclusion. You're not the only one who's written about this piece of work. You're not the last person who's going to write about it. So leave the reader with an idea that you know that there is more to come to be written about the literary work that you are analyzing.
So here's the outline structure for a literary analysis essay. A lot of the 101 students have seen this before, although the outline that you had was a lot more detailed than this one. This one's is broken down a little easier to understand. So make sure you guys take a look at this one, although you'll notice on the in the next part of this lesson that I'll give you some examples, and I'll post those examples in week 9 module in Canvas. So here's the homework for either Wednesday or Thursday, depending on which class you belong to. You're going to create a literature analysis outline for your chosen book, detailing either the elements of fiction, story structure, figurative language, or you could do all three. It's up to you how you want to do it. All right, let's go to the outlines. The first outline we're going to take a look at is one about figurative language. And so what I've done here is I've taken the story Goldilocks and the Three Bears, written that story, and I'm going to do an outline, which will, of course, be for my essay about figurative language in Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So my title is The Similes in Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Make sure that when you do a title, you can either italicize it or you can put quotations around it. But make sure you do either or for your title. The first part of or rather the second part of the outline, which is paragraph 1, I give my hook. And my hook is, for those seeking a master lesson in how to use similes, Goldilocks and the Three Bears is the perfect instruction. But remember, our rule is that whenever we're doing a essay, we should always start with our thesis first. So here's my thesis. There are several themes and lessons in this story, but the best lesson is how Suvi, who was the writer, teaches the effective use of similes in Goldilocks sampling the porridge, chairs, and the beds. I made a misspell right here. But in other words, my 3 paragraphs are going to be Goldilocks sampling the porridge. The other ones are going to be sampling the chairs. And the other ones is going to be about sampling the beds. And by the way, there's going to be 2 paragraphs for each one of these, not just one. It's easy to do with just one when you're talking about a story as simple as Goldilocks and Three Bears. So after doing my thesis, I went and I created my hook. Then I'm going to write a little bit about the author. I'm going to talk about the title, the main characters, and then I'm going to do just a short summary of the story. In other words, talk about the plot right there. Then, of course, I'll go to my body paragraphs, and in paragraph 2, I'm going to pick a quote from the text. Here's the quote I chose. Make sure you introduce your quotes. I did not do it on this outline, but make sure your quotes are introduced. I will analyze the quote, and then I will close up that quote or the analyzation, and that's 1 paragraph right there. Then I'll pick a second quote and do the same thing over again. Then I'll pick a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth. I might have missed one right there. Probably was a 7th. Sorry about that. And then I'll finish up with my my 8th paragraph, which is my conclusion, summarizing my argument, extending the argument, and showing why the text is important. So, in your outline, You're going to have your complete title. You're going to have your complete introduction, as we do in all outlines. However, for your body paragraphs, for the outline only, I just want to know what quote you're using. And as you see here, I left in a quote from the text. You don't have to leave that in there. You can just eliminate that. I just left a short summary and all that in there just to make it easy for you to understand. You don't have to leave that in there. But then, again, we'll just mention the quotes in the body paragraphs. You'll expound on them with B and C when you actually write your essay. But I just want to I want them as bullet points. But you will, in your outline, provide me a conclusion. All right, so that one was for literary analysis. This next outline is for story structure. So so my title on this one is simple: the story structure in Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And of course, I had to change my hook. But of course, first I changed my thesis. The reason Goldilocks and the Three Bears has remained a delightful story for more than 150 years is because the author moves seamlessly through exposition, conflict, rising action, climax, falling action, and finally to resolution in a manner that is so recognizable to all. So, in my my writing, my body paragraphs, the first one is going to be about exposition, second one about conflict, third about rising action, fourth about falling action, and fifth about resolution. And of course, then we're going to have, and I might have missed one, I don't know, probably 6 of them. Sorry about that. And then of course we're going to have the conclusion. So as you see here, there's your paragraph 2 about exposition. Then there's conflict, rising action. Of course, we'll fill everything in once we do our essay. All I need you to do is have the bullet point exposition in these body paragraphs. And then we'll finish it up with doing a conclusion about all of them. So, there's 2 examples. One is of how to do a literary analysis outline and essay. And by the way, I'll go in and make my spelling corrections before I upload these. Sorry about that. And then we also have a second one about how to do the story structure. Story structure and also literary analysis. Hopefully this helps you go ahead and complete your work for either Wednesday or Thursday. And again, the final essay based upon this outline will be due this coming Sunday at 11:45 p.m. So, any questions, give me a call, text me, email me as usual. And as always, have a good one, and I'll see you guys in class.